Have you ever seen your calmest, most composed cat transform into a wild, ecstatic furball, all thanks to a tiny bit of dried catnip? She rolls around on the floor, rubs herself against everything, and makes the most peculiar noises. Is it magic, or something far more interesting? Today, we're going to dive right into a cat's brain and unravel the mystery of the catnip effect. I promise, you're about to learn something completely unexpected about your furry friend. All right, let's break this down from the start. Catnip, or Nepeta cataria, isn't some exotic feline drug. It's simply a plant from the mint family. It grows all over the world, and humans have used it for centuries, in teas and as a medicinal herb. But for our whiskered friends, this herb is something truly special, and the secret lies in its chemical makeup. So, let's meet the main character of our story. It's a chemical compound with a rather fun name, nepetalactone. This is the secret ingredient in catnip, the one responsible for all the playful chaos. By nature, it's a volatile oil, found in the plant's leaves, stems, and flowers. What does volatile mean? Simply put, it evaporates very easily into the air. Think of the aroma of freshly brewed coffee or perfume. You can smell them from a distance, right? It's the same story with nepetalactone. That's why cats don't even need to eat catnip to feel its effects. Just a sniff is all it takes. But you've probably noticed that cats love to rub against the plant, chew on it, and roll all over it. By doing so, they instinctively release even more of the oil, intensifying the aroma, and in turn, their blissful high. You could say nepetalactone acts like a chemical key, a key that fits a very specific lock in a cat's body, unleashing a cascade of reactions. And it's with this key that our journey into the feline brain truly begins. When your cat's curious nose approaches the source of this scent, something truly remarkable happens. Millions of tiny nepetalactone molecules rush into its nasal cavity. Initially, they interact with the regular olfactory receptors, the very same ones that help your cat distinguish its food from your dinner. This simply tells the cat, "Oh, this smells like some interesting plant." However, that's where the function of typical scent detection largely stops, because the truly fascinating part happens next. Nepetalactone isn't just any scent. For the feline brain, it's a special signal, almost like a secret message. And to process these kinds of messages, cats possess a separate, much more complex and ancient mechanism. The molecules are directed to a specialized area that operates in a completely different way. This isn't about simply sniffing. It's about analyzing the signal on an entirely different level. And this secret weapon is called the vomeronasal organ. You might also know it as Jacobson's organ. You can think of it as your cat's second nose, specifically designed for processing crucial information. This organ doesn't analyze everyday scents like fish or chicken. Instead, its primary role is to detect pheromones and other complex chemical signals. These signals carry vital information about other animals, such as their mood, social status, mating readiness, and much more. Have you ever seen your cat freeze, slightly open its mouth, and make a strange, almost wrinkled expression while sniffing something? That's called the Flehmen response. In that moment, your cat is actually using its Jacobson's organ to literally taste the scent and perform a deep analysis of it. And here's the crucial part. For this organ, nepetalactone acts like a super pheromone. It perfectly mimics an extremely important natural signal, prompting the cat's brain to react instantly and intensely. When nepetalactone enters this organ, it fits perfectly into specific receptors, just like a key in a lock. Imagine millions of tiny landing pads or keyholes scattered across the surface of the nerve cells within this organ. These are the protein receptors. The nepetalactone molecule, however, has such a unique shape that it fits these receptors perfectly. The moment it docks with the receptor, there's a click. That click isn't just a sound. It's the instant generation of an electrical impulse. It's no longer merely a scent. It's a specific command sent directly to the central nervous system. This mechanism is incredibly precise and selective. That's precisely why not all fragrant herbs trigger this kind of reaction in cats. Only the key that perfectly fits the lock can unlock and trigger this entire incredible chain of events. And just like that, the generated electrical impulse wastes no time. It races along the neural pathways as if on a high-speed highway, heading straight for the brain. Its first and crucial stop is the olfactory bulb. Essentially, this is the brain's primary hub for initial odour processing. Picture it as a massive sorting facility for all information entering through the nose. This is where the brain receives raw data and begins its analysis. When the nepetalactone signal arrives here, the system doesn't just recognise it as another grassy scent. Instead, it identifies it as something critically important, a signal demanding an immediate response. The olfactory bulb flags this message as urgent, forward to command centre, and immediately relays it to deeper, more influential brain regions, where the real magic begins. From this initial processing centre, the signal travels onward, its path leading to two critical brain structures. The first is the amygdala. This is a small but incredibly potent emotional hub. It's the amygdala that's responsible for basic emotions like fear and aggression, but crucially for understanding this phenomenon, also for pleasure. When the nepetalactone signal reaches the amygdala, it essentially flips a euphoria switch. The second destination is the hypothalamus. This is essentially the body's CEO. It manages the hormonal system, regulates body temperature, hunger, thirst, and most importantly, instinctive behaviours, including sexual ones. Thus, the signal simultaneously hits both the emotional centre and the instinct control centre. This explains the powerful and complex reaction cats have to catnip. Upon receiving this urgent and critical signal, the hypothalamus assumes the role of a true commander. It immediately dispatches an order to its chief subordinate, the pituitary gland. The pituitary, a tiny gland located at the base of the brain, is widely known as the master gland, the central control panel for the body's entire hormonal system. Think of the hypothalamus as the president, making the executive decisions, and the pituitary as the prime minister, sending out directives to all the ministries, that is, the other glands. Following the hypothalamus's command, the pituitary gland initiates a complex cascade of reactions. It begins to stimulate the production and release of a unique group of powerful compounds into the bloodstream. These very substances are the direct architects of the blissful state the cat experiences. In short, the command has been received, and the feel-good mechanism is now running at full capacity. So what are these amazing substances that the pituitary gland releases into the bloodstream? They are beta endorphins. You might have heard of them. Endorphins are often referred to as happiness hormones, or the body's natural opioids, and there's a good reason for that name. Their chemical structure and effects are remarkably similar to opiates, like morphine. Their primary role in the body is to block pain signals and induce feelings of pleasure, relaxation, and euphoria. You've likely experienced their effects firsthand, perhaps during an intense workout. That's the well-known runner's high, or when you're enjoying something truly delicious. Well, when a cat inhales catnip, its brain literally bathes in these very endorphins. It's an immense rush of natural pleasure that completely overwhelms its nervous system. This powerful endorphin rush is the direct cause of the euphoric state we observe in our pets. Imagine a wave of pure, unadulterated bliss washing over the cat's entire body. In that moment, she feels absolutely incredible. Stress levels drop to zero, all worries melt away, replaced by a feeling of complete contentment and playfulness. The cat becomes more affectionate, purring louder than usual, and rubbing against everything in an attempt to share her good mood. For her, it's like a short yet incredibly vivid vacation from all feline worries. This is an entirely natural and safe way for her to experience a rush of positive emotions, hardwired into her very nature. So, when you see your cat in this state, know that she's simply feeling incredibly good. Okay, so we've covered the euphoria. But why do they start behaving so strangely? They roll on the floor, rub their backs, writhe, and make unusual sounds. If you observe them, these movements might seem familiar. They strongly resemble a female cat in heat, trying to attract a male. And this similarity is no coincidence. As we've already discovered, the nepetalactone signal reaches the hypothalamus. This brain region controls, among other things, reproductive instincts. So, when endorphins create an overall feeling of pleasure, the hypothalamus receives this powerful stimulus. It essentially mistakes it for a signal related to reproduction. As a result, the same motor programs that are normally triggered during courtship are activated. The cat doesn't consciously understand this. It's simply following ancient instincts that have suddenly been activated in its brain. Scientists believe that nepetalactone activates the very same neural pathways responsible for reproductive behavior. Imagine a cat's brain as a vast network of roads. These are its neural pathways. One road might lead to a response to food, another to fear, and yet another to mating behavior. Now, the nepetalactone molecule essentially acts as a clever imposter. It mimics a signal that would normally initiate activity down that reproductive road. The brain receives a stimulus that structurally is very similar to the pheromones released during estrus, and it reacts accordingly. It triggers the same programmed responses, rolling around, rubbing against things, and vocalizing. It's like someone pressed a mating mode button, even when there's no actual reason to. It's simply a pleasurable simulation, purely brought on by a chemical trigger. And this brings us to a fascinating, often misunderstood, point. While a cat's behaviour on catnip might strongly resemble sexual responses, the actual effect is completely independent of the animal's sex. Male cats react to catnip in precisely the same way as females. What's more, even neutered males and spayed females experience the exact same euphoria. This conclusively demonstrates that the reaction to nepetalactone isn't directly tied to sex hormones. Rather, it's a purely neurological response of the brain to a specific chemical stimulus. You could even describe it as a pleasant echo of reproductive instincts, but one that carries absolutely no real sexual subtext. It's simply pure, unadulterated pleasure, accessible to all felines, regardless of their sex or reproductive status. So, if your neutered male cat goes absolutely wild for catnip, rest assured that's perfectly normal. Now, let's debunk a popular myth. Many owners, seeing their cat in a state of pure ecstasy, might start to worry, thinking, could my cat be addicted? Let's be clear, catnip does not cause physical or psychological dependence. It's not a drug in the human sense. The effect it provides is a temporary, short-lived, and entirely harmless euphoria. Your cat won't suffer if you stop giving them catnip. They won't experience any withdrawals. They'll simply return to their usual state. What's more, an overdose of catnip is virtually impossible. If your cat consumes too much, the worst they might experience is a mild stomach upset. So, rest assured, it's a safe and natural form of enrichment for your beloved pet. The effects of catnip, though often dramatic, are remarkably short-lived. Typically, the playful high only lasts for about 5 to 15 minutes. After this, the peak euphoria subsides, and the cat gradually returns to its normal, calm state. She might appear a bit relaxed or even drowsy, much like after a good play session. But what's most interesting is that after the session, she enters what's known as a refractory period, essentially a period of unresponsiveness. This means that for the next hour, and sometimes even longer, catnip will have absolutely no effect on her. It's as if her brain resets itself, temporarily blocking the receptors to prevent them from becoming overstimulated. So if you offer your cat a fresh dose of catnip right after she's calmed down, she'll most likely just ignore it. And this brings us to a truly fascinating discovery, one that completely changes our understanding of this entire phenomenon. For a long time, both scientists and cat owners alike believed this behaviour was simply a way for cats to experience pleasure, a sort of natural high. But recent research by Japanese scientists has revealed that this ritual actually serves an incredibly practical purpose. It turns out that when a cat rubs against a plant and rolls around in it, they're doing much more than just having fun. They are instinctively applying those very volatile oils, including nepetalactone, directly onto their fur. They are quite literally coating themselves in these compounds. And they do this with a very specific goal in mind. Nepetalactone, it turns out, is an incredibly powerful natural repellent. It effectively deters mosquitoes, gnats, ticks, and other blood-sucking insects. Beyond catnip, several other plants can elicit a similar reaction in felines, even if they're not as widely recognised. If your furry friend is indifferent to catnip, one of these alternatives might just be their cup of tea. Consider silvervine, also known as Actinidia polygama, which is incredibly popular in Asia. It contains unique compounds that can stimulate even those cats seemingly immune to nepetalactone. Another excellent alternative is valerian root. That's right, the very same valerian humans use for its calming properties often has the opposite effect on cats, leading to bursts of playfulness and euphoria. Then there's Tatarian honeysuckle, whose wood can be surprisingly attractive to certain felines. So, if classic catnip doesn't quite hit the mark, you always have these exciting options to explore and find just what delights your discerning feline friend. But here's the fascinating bit. Not all cats fall under the spell of this aromatic allure. If you've offered your cat catnip and they merely sniffed it before strolling away, completely unimpressed, don't immediately assume there's something wrong. Sensitivity to nepetalactone is a purely genetic trait, inherited from their parents. A specific gene dictates this response. If a cat has inherited at least one copy of this gene from either parent, they'll react to the catnip. However, if they've received two non-responder copies from both their mum and dad, there will be no effect whatsoever. It's simply a genetic lottery. So, a cat's reaction to catnip isn't an indicator of their health or personality. It's just a unique feature of their DNA. According to statistics, roughly 20 to 30% of all domestic cats are completely unfazed by the scent of catnip. Their genetics simply don't provide them with the receptors needed to react to nepetalactone. For these cats, the plant smells no more interesting than any other common weed. So if your feline friend falls into this group, there's no need to be disappointed or try to train them to like it. It's simply not possible. Your cat is perfectly normal. Nature just didn't bless them with this particular, often amusing quirk. Interestingly, among large wild cats like lions and jaguars, sensitivity to catnip is far more common. Tigers, on the other hand, are mostly indifferent to it. Another important thing to keep in mind is age. If your kitten isn't reacting to catnip, don't write them off as immune just yet. Kittens usually don't start reacting to nepetalactone until they're about 3 to 4 months old, and the full effect often doesn't kick in until they're around 6 months old. Before that, their brains and nervous systems just aren't ready to process it. Their receptors haven't fully developed, and the neural pathways aren't quite complete. So, offering catnip to very young kittens is usually pointless. It's better to wait until they're a bit older before you test if they've got that euphoria gene. And here's the twist. What we once thought was just a quirky way for cats to get high is actually a complex evolutionary self-defense mechanism. When your cat rolls in catnip, she's not just having fun. She's instinctively applying a natural insect repellent to herself, one that also happens to bring her immense pleasure. It's nature's perfect blend of fun and function. Cats get an aromatherapy session, a rush of happy hormones, and reliable mosquito protection, all from one small plant. So, let's recap. The effect of catnip isn't just a quirky indulgence. It's a complex chemical reaction in the brain that triggers endorphin production, mimics behavioural instincts, and, as it turns out, serves an important protective purpose. Now, when you see your cat in a catnip-induced euphoria, you'll know there's a whole science behind it. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you learned something new and fascinating about your pet, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing animal facts. How does your cat react to catnip? Does your feline friend go wild for it? Or are they one of the rare few who are completely indifferent? Share your story in the comments below.